Hi, it's me, Angry, your Showstoppers treasurer for this year. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a pitching budget for a non-underwritten show in the Annex Theatre. If you underwrite a show, it means that SUSU will cover a certain amount of any losses made in return for a certain amount of any profits made. It's a bit like an insurance, but nowadays we tend to only use this for shows at the Nuffield Theatre. Currently, the underwritten system is being changed by SUSU, so for any more information, please contact me. First, I'll show you how to find the non-underwritten budget template. Go to the Showstoppers website and click on Pitches. You can then see here that there is a template for an underwritten budget and a non-underwritten budget. So we want the non-underwritten one. This is what it looks like before you've filled anything in. The information on the left you can just ignore because that's for if you're underwriting a show. A lot of the costs entered into the budget depend on what the show is. However, there are some things that tend to stay the same. So we'll enter these things into the budget first to make a generic budget. First, we'll look at predicted ticket sales. So we can start off by entering the capacity of the annex, which is roughly 138. So now we've got the capacity of the annex, we now want to type in the ticket prices. So for purposes of this budget, we'll go for £9 for adults, £7 for student and £5 for PA. Say then we want to do 5 performances, including the matinee, then we can type that in. And then you want to get the percentage capacity, which will come up in this box, at about 38%. And to get this, you need to enter numbers into these boxes here. So we'll start off by saying 20 adults, 20 students and 20 PA, and let's see where that gets us. So that's 43%. So now we need to adapt these numbers slightly to bring it down to 38%. So there we go, now we're at 38%. So now we can see that we're making £1,800 from ticket sales. So next we need to see how much we can make from programme sales. We tend to sell the programmes at about £1, so we can enter that in. And say you tend to sell about 10 to 15 a night. So if we put in 10, so now we're making £50 from programmes. So sponsorship, contribution and other income depends on how much money you're spending and whether you need those. So for now we'll leave them as they are. So now we can look at entering numbers into the costs. So for venue hire, this is always the same, which is £35 per show plus VAT for stage stock hire. So because we've entered 5 shows, this number is at £210. Next, we can enter performance rights, which, seeing as this is a pitching budget, we can just enter £1,000 for now and then get a more accurate value for this if you get the pitch. Next, let's put £50 in posters because you tend to get about 100 A3 posters for about £40, so that gives us a bit of extra money. And then let's do flyers the same. You probably will find that you'll spend less than that on publicity, but it's nice to have the money there just in case. Next, let's look at programme printing. You tend to be able to get 100 programmes for 50p each, so let's put £50 in here. Another thing that adds to our generic budget is adding £50 into other in case of emergency. So now we can see that we've got £1,410 as the total costs and £440 as profit. So now we've got a generic budget with £440 to play around with. So now let's go back up to the top and look at income. So to start off with, let's get some more money to play around with. So we'll do this by putting £150 in sponsorship. And then for now we'll put 0 in the other 2. So now we've got £590 to play around with. And this will go into props, set, tech and costumes. So let's start off by putting, let's say, £80 into props, but this will depend on what your show is. So for example, if you've got a lot of props, then you might want more in that, but then if a show doesn't have so many props, then you could put maybe £50 or something a lot less in there. So now for set, staging and tech, you'll need to talk to members of StageSoc before your pitch to find out how much roughly they think that these categories will cost. So let's put £100 into set and staging, so £50 into each. And then for sound, let's say that we want radio mics, which will be £120 for 8 for the week. And then let's say we don't want any extra lights. We want to use what StageSoc already has, so we can put £0 into that. And then consumables, StageSoc get through a lot of tape, so let's put £30 into there. We also need to think about batteries for radio mics. So let's put this into other technical. So let's just say £20 for now, and then put that in the description. So now let's look at costumes. We can see at the bottom that we've got £240 profit. So for costumes, we can put £200 into this. And this is about average for a Showstoppers show. But then again, it will also depend on what the show is and how easy the costumes are to get access to. Let's also say, let's put £20 into makeup because we've got the money. And then there's nothing extra that we need, so we can put £0 into sundry. So now we're making a nice profit of £20. It's good to make sure that the profit stays at around £0 to £50 to make sure you're making a nice healthy profit and not wasting any money that you could put into other aspects of the budget. So this is a nice budget. If you get to this stage and you find you're making a loss, then you need to go back and have a look over your budget and work out if there is any cost that you can cut back on or whether you can get any more income from somewhere. If you're going to use fundraising as a source of income, it's best to put this in the other income section of the budget and have a plan that you can justify to committee when they ask you about it in pitches. Okay, and that's about it on how to put a budget together. If you have any further questions, then please contact me on treasurer@susushowstoppers.co.uk. And if you need any help putting a budget together, then please feel free to ask.